All right, Coffee with Gaz with Julien Diaz. The
Pleasure.
Julien Diaz. Appreciate you stopping by our new. What do you think about the new setup?
I like it. Very
This is the coffee table. Have you noticed?
feel
There's
like
no
I'm in
coffee,
Portland.
But in Portland, we're not going to Portland.
No
At least not tomorrow. Okay? But there's no coffee with Gaz with Gaz. But I appreciate you coming by. We've been,
Of course, man.
dude, your client friend. On both ends, man. We've been talking about this for a while. We're twin dads, which is pretty cool.
That's right. Yeah.
So because of that, we have the same connection. We have the same that we've been to battle together as far as the nights go.
Is one of your twins like you and one like your wife personality wise?
Every year they change. It's like
Okay.
They flip flop. You have two boys.
Two boys.
I got the boy and a girl.
Okay.
But you're right. I mean, it's just going on. The twin dad thing. I think it's one of those connections that only we can kind of
For
discuss.
sure. What's really crazy about twins, I always tell people, is that, I would imagine, because I've only done the twin thing, that when you have a kid, you would almost like be like, oh, does he get this personality trait from you and this, or maybe that from the mom or whatever. But with the twin boys, it's like, or now just with the twins, one is definitely more like Gina, one is like me, and it's weird, man. It's weird to have like that instant mirror.
And you raise them the same, which is funny, right? You do the same thing every night, the same routine, and that's kind of the fun part. But that gives validation to like, look, we did our best, man. We treat everybody the same. At this point, make your decision, but we're doing the same thing.
And no one ever complains to you about how hard it is about their kids, like, because they start complaining and then they catch themselves. They're like, no, but you did it with two.
My bad.
So you get like an
it.
award,
Yeah,
and then you don't have to listen to
I
it.
mean, we walk into kids' parties and people look at you. They give you the tip of the hat, right? Hey,
You did it, man. I don't know how you did it.
they hand me a beer when I walk in. They're like, here's a beer to you, sir. I'm like, you know what? I got you.
It's funny,
Do not
dude.
complain to me.
Yeah, man.
Talking to you and working with you and watching you, kind of your story at Merge. Like, I've always been fascinating with storytelling, right? It's something that me kind of, I guess I'm going to put myself out there. I'm kind of creative. I'm kind of,
Sure.
Can you find that when you're in your late 30s?
Yeah.
I'm going to argue. Everybody has to laugh at what I say.
His Twitter is solid. It's a good jokes and it's good, man.
And
There's a narrative.
The narrative is there, but overall, like storytelling, I've always been fascinating with that. Especially now, like we have this forum and this medium, and we're talking, and I'm looking at things a little bit different. I just felt like previously I always looked at things about myself. It was very odd.
Yeah.
I was very anti-social media until we kind of weren't and we became social media. And now it's more about, not about myself, but other people and kind of creating this different lens. Watching you and the stuff you do as far as a storyteller, I'm always curious of how'd you kind of get into that, right? Like how'd you kind of merge? I'm going to use that play on words, right?
Yeah.
Like you got into storytelling. Can you tell me like how you got into that?
We were just talking about Alex, my friend Alex, and my whole group of friends, we were always into movies and hip hop music, like a lot of kids growing up. And, luckily for us, we grew up in a time where we had like really talented, it was almost like that second wave of hip hop. And
It was the heyday.
yeah, I mean, you have Big Nas, I think towards the end of high school, Eminem came out, Jay, and the endless list of talented artists, and we were there for whatever reason. We just got really into like the wordplay and the lyrics and all that, like especially with Alex, and we were blown away by the attention to detail to every little thing. And I think as high school people, we were always wanting to show things to people, but also defending it. Because I think at the time, like people didn't respect necessarily hip hop music or thought it was, whatever. And then we'd be like, no, dude, there's really not much of a difference between that narrative that Nas just did. And the song where he does everything in rewind is one of the craziest songs ever. And then, or Warning by Biggie. And then like a Scorsese film, like, it's storytelling. I mean, it's insane how they give it a beginning, middle, and end. So, me and my friends were like weird. We played baseball, but we loved doing drama. Like we just did. We enjoyed doing stage play. I know it's bizarre, but we liked it. We had fun together. It was like a reason for us to have like another class where we didn't have to focus too much, but got to have fun together. And then we started making like films and things like on iMovie and all that. And I don't know, man. Like it was just fun. It was just fun, and I think we enjoyed stories. And I'm sure the films were a big thing. Like we really, really enjoyed movies, so it just carried over. Like I remember seeing Fight Club with them in theaters, and
Fight Club's what I mean.
I remember walking out and just being like, "What did I just see?"
Just completely blown away.
Like I never seen a film like that at that time at 16, 17 years old.
It's almost like there's an awareness factor when it comes to storytelling or actually watching a story and kind of realizing it. It's something that I feel like in my late 30s, I'm trying to involve and appreciate it more.
Yeah.
It's just
Well,
because
because
it's so young though. It's kind of like,
yeah, but that's very misleading, because the thing is, yeah, I did it young, but I from until about 30, I don't think I had enough life experiences to really understand effective storytelling. Like I think you got to go through stuff. You got to lose, you got to lose people. You got to have some triumphs. You got to have some failures. You got to not necessarily get married, but, fall in love, maybe have kids. You just got to get beat up a little bit through all of that nonsense. And so for the good and the bad. And then I think the elements then become easier to connect, to then tell like a good story.
That's
so
a good point. It's a good
like
point.
Even now, it's funny is that like when we do stuff for brands or advertising or things like that, or we have to develop a concept, a lot of it is just linking something to an experience I went through or whatever, and then just like knowing how a person would react in that situation, and then apply it into like a narrative. Definitely, I've grown as a storyteller after the boys, for sure.
Dude, I mean, number one, having a child in general, and then the twins, you kind of like me throwing it into the deep end. Have you slept, by the way? Are you still sleeping?
No.
Don't tell me you are. Okay, good, because I was gonna get pissed if you said that, because I still haven't. But it is kind of like that. It's a game changer. The self-aware. I just feel like I don't know when it clicks, and I'm talking to you now, like what the age happened where I became super self-aware. I almost feel now that it's almost too much in a sense.
Yeah.
I become overly sensitive. And I don't know where that came from here with our employees or our staff, just kind of like this hyper oversensitivity of making sure everyone's okay. It's almost like, I don't want to use the word fatherly figure, but it's almost overwhelming at this point.
Yeah, I feel you on that for sure. And sounds like you're an empath. I'm an empath. Like I could walk in a room and feel everybody's energy, and that is
100%.
a gift and a curse, man. Like I'm telling you, I say this all the time. I'm like, it's literally when it's bad, it's the worst, and then but when it's good, it's amazing, because you could but it's a gift in the sense that like somebody that's going through stuff that, which is crazy to me to think that other people don't feel that.
Right. Which sometimes
I wish
there's times I wish I was like that. You kind of just walk through and be almost, you kind of focus about yourself, right? Like if I just worried about myself, I might be the president of the United States. I'm not gonna lie to you. Well, if I had long hair too, that's another against me. But to to that point, I'm making fun of it. But it's true. Like if you were it's that, you're right. Gift and a curse. The empathetic thing. Sometimes people view it as a weakness for whatever reason it is. I kind of look at it as a strength. I now to the point. Again, through age and experiences, through maturity, I view it as like I wouldn't have it any other way. Yeah. It's honestly one of the biggest things that motivates me as well, is like making sure I can help and take care of other people.
Yeah, and then you mix that with like there's this new like Adam Grant book that just came out. It was amazing. He talks about imposter syndrome, and I think it's something that like a lot of people go through. And the most amazing thing about the book is, there's a negative connotation with imposter syndrome, but they've done studies, and statistically it actually shows that people that kind of have that imposter syndrome thing tend to be more successful or have or accomplish more things, because they're overcompensating for their belief that they're like a fraud, which is like wild when you think about it.
It's a double negative, right?
It's like crazy.
That's the next level stuff.
Yeah.
I love having these kind of conversations. Like I look at you as a very creative person. Conversations I've had here, just kind of the social media stuff, and kind of come up with my own little bubble. My escape, my distraction is trying to do funny stuff. That's how I cope with life. I don't watch the news, but I try to make fun of it, right? have you always felt you've been creative?
Yeah, yeah, seriously, like for real, I 100%. I don't know if I'd say creative, but explorative. Like I'm very much interested in things. Like
The why and the how kind of.
yeah, like why are things? Yeah, 100%. Like I remember just as a kid, even in Disney World, I was fascinated not by like the ride because of this character. I just all the things, how the rides work, this, that. Like I wanted to understand like roller coasters and how they, how they operated. Like I'm just fascinated by the dynamic of things. Like I remember one time, I don't even know why I thought this was a good idea, but we did it. I took the television, one of those little like TVs with like the little VCR back in the day.
That's an old one.
Exactly. And I unplugged it, I carried it, I took it to the swing set house in the tree, like the tree house in the swing set, ran an extension cable from my house, like a 50-foot extension cable, plugged it in and watched a movie in the tree house. And I swear to you, it was because I had the idea, I could do this, and I did it. And it was, but that's like a breakdown, I think, of how my mind works with creativity.
The exploratory time thing. Because do you think creativity is something that people are born with? Is it a skill? Are you naturally creative?
I think it's a combination of I want to know how things work. I want to understand things. Like for instance, I remember maybe 8 years ago, I just got tired of going to restaurants and looking at wine lists and not knowing 100% what I was looking at. It like really drove me crazy because like I was like, man,
you want the value wine.
I want to understand. I just want to understand wine in general. Like
Right.
I really want to understand wine, and plus I really needed a hobby outside of film because
We're on the same. Dude, I know why we're so close because of the same connection.
dude, and the thing with the so I told my wife, I'm like, let's go on a trip. We went on like this trip to France. It did like some of the like went to all the different like wine regions and all that. Bro, and how crazy is this? We landed there and I didn't know anything about like wine
West
production,
Bank and then
anything.
East Bank and
None of that. I just knew we were going. But what's crazy is we landed in France. We went to the two banks. We went to Bordeaux. We went to Champagne. We went to Burgundy. We did all of that. It was amazing. But yeah, like the wine thing was just fascinating to me. And I saw a correlation between we get there and it's the harvest. I had no idea. Do you know like what the odds of that are? I landed in France the week of the harvest, and every vineyard we went to was like they were harvesting. I'm like, oh, this is cool, and people are like, no, you don't understand. You're here the week, and then it clicked later
Mecca.
when I went to like Napa that holy shit, this was like a big deal that I was here during the harvest, and it was amazing watching all of it, and it reminded me so much of film production. Like it just was like the same process, this that you have like the harvest, almost like the script, and then you have the production, which is like the execution, and then you have post-production, which is like the winemaker, and then you have marketing, which is then packaging and actually selling the wine and distributing it. So it was a very interesting kind of thing. And then, dude, I mean, they romanticized the entire thing. I mean, I got a letter yesterday from William Harlan, like retiring, and he hand signed a letter and he sent it to 1 million people. And I was joking with Alex at night. I'm like, man, these guys just know how to just hook you. I'm like, they even write things like, it's our pleasure to have you take care of our wine for us. I'm like, Jesus, man, that's like,
this is a play on words. I should do that. I gotta send that. I gotta do that on
it's like,
insurance.
and it's amazing, man. Like, and then it's a reason to travel. It's another reason to explore the world. And I think that obviously that's the catalyst to so much creativity.
What fascinates me about what you do, right? Being a storyteller, like you're responsible for telling the story for other people, right? So I look at it as like kind of like a dilemma. Like people want you to tell their story. Now, how much is it of you telling it for them, give them advice? Because so many people, like again, like business owners, everyone thinks they have the best business in the world, the best product, the best advice, the best X. Your job is to tell it, but also you're also in charge of making it seem like what other people want.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like it's a catch-22, right? You're kind of stuck in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the storytelling thing it's weird, man. I think I gave up on not I gave up. I think I sacrificed the personal creative that like wanting to tell personal stories, or I wouldn't say personal, but I think having the need to create my own story from scratch. I'm not that type of person. I've always used other things as like a jumping off point. Like I think that's where I do well. I always say that I'm terrible at like the genesis of any idea, but just I randomly call Alex and friends or whatever, and then we just talk, and then I come out of it and just give me that little
The
bit,
jump point.
and
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, good luck catching me. I'm
Right.
like gonna go 500 miles. So I kind of love the idea of like I look at it as like somebody presenting me with a challenge. And it's serving them. It's like figuring out their story, but there's still so much work that needs to be done that is still very creative. Like you're taking their concept and then you're logistically, creatively, and logistically figuring it out. So there's a logistics side of it. Then there's a execution from a creative standpoint. There's art direction, there's post-production, there's motion graphics, there's animation, live action, talent. Like there's just so many pieces that little part of like the story is so small in comparison to everything, except that has to be like your nucleus.
No, and isn't it like how much is it of developing or articulating that potential story, or also giving, kind of flipping it and telling this is what you should do, right? This is what people want. Like it's kind of seems like there's this whole thing of like I use a Disney World concept.
Yeah.
Like I'm pass holder. Go to
Since
Disney
'92.
Since '92, go to Disney World. I mean, I think I know people there, which is a problem because we go too many times. But just I'm the whole like
I almost had
Disney,
a panic attack in Epcot Center last time I was there.
Recently.
Yeah, like
Wow.
I went in.
Not in France. Not drinking.
I didn't even make it to France. We were going through England. That was our first mistake.
Okay.
And they were like, the people were just like all over us. Oh my God, look at this maniac. He's skinnier than me. There's all of these, like, dude, there's just people just getting on top of me. And I was like, yeah, I'm out of here. But they did a good job, man. Like Magic Kingdom blew me away. Like they really did a good job keeping it safe.
They've done a good job. It's again I was there 2 weeks ago.
Oh no, see, I was there in like July or August. It was just in the meat of it.
In the meat of it, like 2
Yeah.
months into it, into COVID. But I go there and all I think about is like, man, I can't believe one person created this idea. Which always seems like all the good ideas seem crazy at the time, right? But
Have you ever seen the Imagineering series on Disney Plus?
No.
It's incredible.
I scrolled
Watch
by
it. And I'll tell you why, because it'll answer so many questions about that you're asking me about, like that group. What was their inspiration? What were the ideas? And what happens is you sort of see, again, these people are focusing on the vision of one man, but they're the ones that are helping.
It's insane.
But you should see the Imagineers in a circle, like a circle table, and they're like really honest. Like, man, we've thrown wrenches at each other. Like, we get in heated fights. People like had to break us up. Like, it's really amazing to see. And this happens like at Merge. It's funny. People sometimes joke it's like that. It's a little bit like volatile, but I think when you have passionate people and you bring them together and you expect them to like want to create something, like pressure does create diamonds, man. Like you're gonna have that tension,
which sparks probably the best ideas
for sure.
But I think that spark, it's always that internal battle of like what I think is best or what I think other people is going to be the best.
Yeah,
I think that's and looking back at the Disney concept too. Like I if I had to assume it was his idea, but he built it based on what he thought other people were going to like.
Yeah,
and it's insane the amount of the cult following, the nostalgia. Like
yeah.
It's insane. Someone could create such a brand and it's a cult following.
Well, it's weird. It's like even I know for like, my parents or my dad or my mom, to them, just going with their grandkids to Disney was like special, and like it's almost like as like going skiing or this or that. Like it's maybe because we grew up in Miami that it was just there and it was just a car ride away, but it definitely has this generational connection that's completely fascinating. And it's like, and then going back, like even looking at Disney now and going to the entertainment thing, I'll never forget when they bought Star Wars for like $1 billion or 1.5, and then within like 2 years they made like $5 billion. They're like a marketing machine,
I'm
man.
thankful for that too.
I never really liked superhero films per se. Like the Batman ones are amazing because I thought Scorsese actually, that article that he got killed for was actually pretty good, saying that superhero movies are not. But like what he said was, you know, if they can't lose anything, if like they can't die because they have the, you know, that's why Batman was always great. But man, I started watching these movies with my kids. They are unreal. They've done such a good job.
It's captivating. It's continuing to evolve. Like I remember growing up watching some of the stuff we watched. If you watch it now, it's kind of embarrassing.
Yeah,
like
Superman
back in the day, right? Like everything.
Like Batman was like, thank God, Batman in like 90, 89, 90.
What was it?
Like,
Arnold Schwarzenegger was Iceman. Did you see that? I mean, you know, Danny DeVito, Penguin,
Freeze,
Mr. Freeze. Excuse me. It was just kind of like
Freeze.
Like the stuff, everything's evolved too. It's just, I mean, I'm looking at it now. Like when you watch stuff and you're looking at it from a different kind of lens.
Yeah.
Like how frustrating is it for you? Is it more intuitive? Like are you watching it in a relaxed standpoint? Like are you looking at things? And
I mean,
critiquing stuff.
I like doc work, man. You know, so it's really weird. Like the stuff I enjoy watching is like documentaries, documentary content, especially documentary content that's shot beautifully. Like that to me is probably my.
Is it because just like you're looking at something that really happened?
Yeah, and then when they shoot it beautifully, like a chef, like I'll never forget seeing Chef's Table for the first time. I was like blown away. I was like, this is unbelievable cinematography. And they were shooting this doc stuff on the red, which then I think triggered my idea of following these guys following Fernie and the group doing the CrossFit thing, because I was like, I want to shoot this on the red. I want to shoot it like on a film camera, because it's more challenging.
Yeah.
But the idea is that it would be more beautiful.
Right.
But yeah, it's you know, Netflix is insane, man, because it opened up the door. Before it was like a television show or a film.
Right.
That's it. Now it's like you can have documentary content, you can have documentary series, I
think that's where the doc side is where they've actually
sketch comedy shows. You know, platforms like Key and Peele, but then there's 10 of them now. There's another one called oh my God, I gotta send you one, you're gonna die. It's like I was crying of laughter. But it's just so many outlets, man. And so it's amazing.